This video is specially dedicated to the students and faculty of the Mises Institute, for their defense of individual liberties. Universal 7 Governance and Management is proud to present In Defense of Natural Law, Judge Andrew Napolitano's Stand, plus a cybernetic guided missile.
Aristotle, Augustine, Aquinas. So Aristotle argued that we can tell right from wrong by our experiences, and we can tell right and wrong from our senses. We know that fire burns, we know that ice is too cold, we can tell good and evil when we look at it. Augustine argued we can tell right and wrong from revelation, because Jesus came into the world and revealed himself as God and was willing to suffer and die on the cross. We can tell what is right and wrong by following his words. Aquinas says you're both wrong. The essence of understanding the natural law is reason. It is not experience. It is not revelation. It is reason. We have the ability to reason what is right and what is wrong. And in order to reason, we need to be able to exercise certain freedoms like thought, speech, publication, travel, privacy. Those are natural rights which couldn't exist if we didn't have the natural law. It's very important to understand the concept of the natural law, to understand reason. It is the key and most significant word.
The humanity argument of natural law endorsed by reason has produced many other warriors. According to Judge Napolitano, they are Francisco Suarez, Hugo Grotius, Bartolomé de las Casas, William Blackstone, among others. John Locke followed natural law to conclude that the only legitimate purpose of government is to protect individual rights. More recently, Murray Rothbard has formulated the non-aggression principle, to protect people from force or fraud.
A law that is written down and ratified has no moral bearing to it whatsoever. Whatever the lawgiver says the law is, if the lawgiver followed its own rules in promulgating the law, then under positivism that is the law.
Thomas Jefferson was on the side of natural law when he wrote the Declaration of Independence. It says, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed, by their Creator, with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." This is Napolitano's natural law castle, which he defends gallantly. On his side, the Declaration of Independence and the US Constitution. On the other side, positivism and the threat from an invading army of unruly legislators and activist judges. Cybernetics is the science of interconnectedness, control and communications. It is also the science of purpose and feedback, and the laws needed to produce the balances that sustain life. It also explains how the human body processes information, and how it is self-controlled, and why the human brain needs to be self-organizing and adaptive, to cope with highly complex external circumstances. Applicable to all types of human organizations, cybernetic management spells out the laws of viability through the viable system model and the Universal 7 governance and management system. You cannot find a more natural and universal law. It tells us How we humans are put together. The very first law of cybernetics and control is that any regulator must contain a model of the system it is meant to regulate. This means that the nation-state has to respect and know its citizens very well, in order to produce controls that are not at odds with the first law of viability. So, what does the first law of viability say? The very first law of viable systems says that they are built from the bottom up, in growing complexity. The parts sacrifice only enough autonomy as is needed to create the larger organization, but not more. Applied to the legal system, it means that to produce a viable nation-state, the legal system must ensure its citizens as much autonomy as possible. The power of capitalism and free markets is due to a solid cybernetic foundation that socialism will never acquire. The US Constitution has produced something very close to a cybernetic state. This means that most of the Constitution is organized like a living system, with many built-in and self-balancing controls. Shown here is the first recursion level of the US Constitution, using the Universal 7 governance and management model, which I derived from Stafford Beer's better-known viable system model. So not only do natural cybernetic laws exist, but they have been embodied in the US Constitution with the protection of the citizen as its main goal. This is the best argument possible in favor of the natural law theory. Thank you.
For more information, visit Kubernetes.com, home of the UMS7 model, or send your email directly to javierrivas@mac.com. Music courtesy of Kubernetes, the movie. Main theme.